Hello everyone and welcome back. Today now we have a 1-to-1 series on our hands. BLG took game 2 versus Snake after a sort of messy game 1 that really came down to Snake outplaying them in the micro sense. And, you know, Asure coming online later into the stages of the game on that Kaisa. But this last game, that wasn't the case. They had a very early game composition for Snake and BLG played it out late. They waited through the disadvantages they had, used the top lane that they had pushing for them, and just waded through, beat Snake. Real classic, real easy in the macro game.
I have to say that was the biggest point was ADD consistently had the advantage over Flandre, even when Flandre had the counter matchup. Remember that the Scion was selected first, and then the Urgot was selected by Flandre, and for the entire game, he was consistently pushed in his lane. That's how BLG were able to hang on to map control, and even hang on to the gold lead at times, even though Snake's lanes were doing much better. They were doing much better in kills as well. So ADD, in the macro sense, really keeping his team in the game, and when it came to the later stages of the team fights, he basically goaded Snake to use all of their precious damage on himself. So great game all around from him, great rebounding.
Yeah, easy MVP for him, you know, 73% kill participation, not too shabby. And as you said, he really was the glue that held the team together, especially in team fights. He was able to soak up so much damage, and even later into the gauges, he soaked an SofM engage that Glacial Prison just gone. Absolutely gone, and Snake's engage was shut down immediately. So ADD on that pick just kind of broke Snake in a really holistic way. I was just like, okay, you can't engage, you can't do damage, I'm going to engage on you whenever I want. You can try and pick me off, but even with 5 people attacking me for 10 seconds, you will not do enough damage to get me below half. Good luck. And Snake weren't able to come back from that. And a lot of that was because Snake really just didn't push their early hard enough.
I actually think it ties into their drafting strategy a bit. What it means is that if you can shut down Flandre's impact in the game, like ADD did in game 2, then Snake really don't have that much of a playmaking ability. For this new Snake squad, the backbone of their damage is Asure, but their playmaker is still much more heavily towards the top side in Flandre. Now, what I want to see Snake do is actually draft the Thresh a little bit later, because they've been taking the Thresh as the first pick. However, on BLG side, kind of hasn't even showed the Thresh. So you are most likely to get that pick still later in the draft. What I want to see them do is get something Flandre can hard carry on. The Akali and the Vladimir are champions that I personally would like to see them take a little bit earlier and not let BLG run a quadruple ban onto Flandre and take him out of the series.
His Flandre coming up until Andy was subbed in, you know, and even last split and splits before, Flandre has really been a key member for Snake, a key component, and has been one of the big reasons that Snake finds success, or doesn't rather. So it is interesting for them to not be prioritizing him as much, and we've seen it now shut him down. It's shut the entire team down as a result. So maybe for Snake, this mid lane substitution, their bot lane now having so much power as well, they need to think of it differently. Instead of saying, okay, we can play differently, we can play through mid, this time maybe they think, we can play how we used to, but actually be successful. We have a mid lane, we have a bottom lane that we can trust to keep their own, and we have a great jungler who knows how to path around, who knows how to do whatever he needs to enable us. So if Flandre gets a good pick, I feel like that's the start, but at the same time, with the way BLG has been setting up the games, the way they've been playing the later stages of the game, is it enough just to set Flandre up for success?
What I'm really impressed for BLG is you rarely see them push to the point where there's no return. They always have some sort of control on the map, no matter how far they're behind. And their team fighting always gives enemy teams that kind of, you can't go all in on that and really expect to just wipe the floor with them. BLG has never lost in that type of a fashion. So what I think that Snake need to do is that they really need to play a tighter mid game. That's the #1 issue I feel like the Snake squad has. They've had great late game team fights individually in the micro sense. They have great early games, again individually in the laning sense. But the mid game is kind of this dark age era for the Snake, where they seem to lose all of their previous lore. They don't know what's happening around in in the world, and they just worship random pagan gods and do whatever they want. So that's an era that I want to see Snake really tighten their grip on. And in terms of the drafting phase, I love Maestro's Thresh. It's been doing so well in this series, but once again, you don't have to first pick it. You can save it later for the draft.
Save that, get Flandre something he can work with. Asure has been able to play the Lucian very well. He was able to play the Kai'Sa very well, so I feel like him especially, you don't really need to prioritize as much. Granted, they didn't push the Lucian lead as well, but that wasn't on Asure's play. I feel it was on Snake as a whole.
Yeah, so Snake, I don't think they're necessarily top of the league in terms of their macro game, in terms of closing things out. What they're really, really good at is that they have a bunch of talented players. And that might be the way that they're thinking about this series, is that, hey, when we've had to play a super tight macro game and kind of close out the game within a time limit, we fail to do so. How about we just take away the time limit and make sure it's all about how we can perform as a 5v5 in a brawling type of sense. Just pick something that is very team fight focused, can wade through enemy damage like a bruiser composition, doesn't have an expiration date that's not totally 80 damage or totally AP damage like they were drafting in Game 1 or Game 2. So to make things short and clear, team fight is probably going to be the win condition that Snake is looking at. And in terms of the drafting phase, most importantly, get Flandre on something that he can solo carry. The two champions I'm looking for, Akali and Vladimir. Akali, Vladimir, and Aatrox, I think, are three ones that they're going to be very comfortable whichever one they get.
The draft for me for BLG is still a bit of a mystery, and the reason is I feel like they haven't shown a united strength between these two games so far. Yes, they did good macro in both games in the later stages, but it was sort of in spite of the macro that they lost Game 1 because they just got outplayed, and Game 2 they won because Snake didn't push the lead. Do they also want to go for something late, or do they just want to try and play something that relies on them as a coordinated unit?
So that's one of the toughest issues for me in BLG is, to be honest, I don't think their Game 2 draft would have won them many games against other teams. I think the draft itself, where you have three losing lanes, Kha'Zix is not a great ganker early on, that really isn't a recipe for success. What I want to see them is focus on something that a lot of wave clear for mid lane. I think that's a must. And then most of their damage dealing potential on Jinjiao. I feel like Jinjiao has been their best player so far in this 2019 split.
Oh no. They left Cassiopeia open. So they banned out Lucian for Snake, which the Lucian and the Camille make sense, as well as the Zoe. But now Cassiopeia has been left open, and we've seen her not much recently, but she's an incredibly strong pickup, and with the Thresh alongside it, BLG just got two really good power picks just for the Lissandra.
And color me wrong, I guess Kine does play some Thresh up his sleeve, so they are going to go for a super powerful bot lane combo. However, I do have to point out that, Cassiopeia has not been having the greatest win percentages in the LPL so far. She's still very immobile, and even though her laning phase strength is incredible, I think a lot of the issue is that in teamfight she's actually a bit hard to play. She's much more of a counter engager, and in this current meta it's usually about who can get the better engage first, not necessarily the counter engage. So it's a pick that everyone knows is a super strong pick, but not a lot of teams have been able to figure her out in terms of the team fight.
This draft is really interesting for me from Snake as well, because BLG had already picked the Cassiopeia, and then they said, okay, let's take the Alistar that has a movement ability that relies on not being rooted. Let's take that into the bot lane. The Kai'Sa makes sense. We saw Asure pop off on it Game 1, but they gave away Olaf to BLG, which is something we've seen Meteor perform on much better than the Kha'Zix.
I knew Snake was going to go for Kai'Sa. What did I say? I knew they were going to go for Kai'Sa. They're just going to rely on that team fight strategy to win them the game. But right now they really have to think about their laning phase, because their bot side is very, very weak. It's not easy going up against these two compositions, and you also have something like the Olaf, who we've said many times is a very good bot side punishing jungler. So for Snake, there's two there's two ideas right here. First off, they really need to get a good, strong jungler that can counteract the pressure that's going to be thrown bot. And second of all, if they can't do that, they at least need to have a very, very strong top side. But that's also difficult to achieve when BLG have the counter pick.
That said, BLG haven't banned out any tops this time. Snake just wants to take the Yorick off the table. So maybe they have something in mind. Maybe they have something that Flandre has been keeping up his sleeve. I want to see what BLG picks up here, because they've been focusing a lot against the jungle for Snake. It looks like they just want that safe solo laner in Urgot.
Okay, the Urgot is something that I'm a little bit surprising, because there actually are quite a few counter picks that we've been seeing popping up across the regions. Silas is one that can do well into the Urgot. Also, we have seen Kennen a lot. It's a non-interactive lane, but it's something that should, in theory, fit Flandre's style quite well. Something that can always get a big team fight and come off the flank. So those are the champions I'm really looking at. Viktor, a little bit slow for me, does outrange the Cassiopeia, so that might be what he's thinking about. They just want to play a kite and poke composition like they did in Game 1. Not my favorite pick, but doable in the sense of what Flandre has shown so far.
This is what won them Game 1, though. So it seems like they're going back to the basics and saying, let's see. Okay, Game 1 we had the Lissandra, we had the Viktor combo. Oh. Okay.
Yes.
Aurelion Sol coming in. Talk to me about this pick. Talk to me about how it fits into these compositions.
So this is a pick that just creates so much motion on the map. It's wave clear like we were talking about. The number one thing that BLG really need is just to keep teams from pressuring them and getting to that team fight, mid-game team fight phase, as opposed to late-game team fight for Snake. I think Aurelion Sol fits that role perfectly. He can always have priority against most matchups, I believe even against Lissandra. And this time around in the 9.2 patch, Aurelion Sol actually is very hard to chase down. His stun lockout on his Q is drastically reduced. It's only 0.25 seconds right now. So if you're going all in on him in just a melee form, typically you are going to get stunned out. It's a much safer pick. And the stun duration for a cross-map stun has now been raised to 2.25 seconds. So a lot more upside on that Star Surge ability that he can throw around the map. And I really like it. I do think this is a pick that fits BLG's style quite perfectly.
They can play it in the team fights, and they have a ton of sustained damage right now. And it's a safer pick. You know, you can stay back with it, which is something Kuro excels at. So BLG kind of running away with this draft, it seems like. Did Snake get enough in return? Because they got their Game 1 composition again, basically. But can that do what they need it to?
They're really betting on the engage potential coming out from the Lissandra and the Jarvan. Those are the two big points we have to look at. The rest of their lanes, like we said, is going to be a slow affair. They're not expected to really win out early. And what they need to do to keep themselves at a level playing field in the mid game is going to be Lissandra and Jarvan. So what I expect them to do is they're going to try to snipe down Kuro as hard as possible. If they can do that, they can shut him down from roaming and really capitalizing on the leads that the other lanes should have.
Now we're going to see how this Aurelion Sol shapes up in the third game, bringing out the solo pocket pick here. Game 3, Snake versus BLG. Who's going to take it home?
We hear a hook.
There's another hook.
There we go.
Flandre. Undertow not going to follow. They forced out the flash, though. So we're going to be pretty happy with that one.
I'm kind of surprised that teams are still getting caught off by this. We've seen a lot of teams utilize this strategy. JD Gaming against BLG did this as well, where they just have to crowd control, come in from the top side of the lane, and then try to pincer out a top laner that tries to stay in the river brush. We've seen it happen so many times. I really don't think that teams should be falling for this, but, you know, Snake is going to have to deal with that. They're going to start off with one less flash in the top side.
Kuro on this Aurelion Sol is the giant question mark hanging over this game. Now, we've seen some varying strategies with Aurelion Sol in competitive play. Huki, of course, in NALCS, known for this pick, would go for the level 2 roam down into the bottom lane. Do you think that's a possibility with this composition?
I don't think level 2 is as easy as it was before. And the minion dematerializer which was I felt like was a core part of Aurelion Sol's identity earlier in the patches, comes online a lot later. I think it's a third or fourth wave right now. So probably not a lot of those roams going to happen, but SofM going for a really risky strategy, trying to punish on the level 2.
Really aggressive pathing there, just wants to spot out Metoer. Knows where he is now, so he's going to start tracking him from now on. Pick up the Scuttle Crab for himself as well, so not too much wasted. And now Kuro looking at the side of the lane, but he's already so low on mana. Just one charge of Corrupting Potion remaining as well. He's almost out of sustain.
And so he might be looking for an early back at this point. Just shoving in the waves to make sure his Olaf can farm at low health. Very efficient for the Berserker to do so.
SofM just ruined the CS for Andy. That's so unfortunate.
So you need some help, buddy?
I got you.
I'm here to help.
So double Scuttle here from SofM, if nothing else. We should be able to pick this one up. He's still got the Smite, but Metoer's not going to be there to contest it. And so far, SofM once again getting the better pathing here in the early game.
Well, I'm actually thinking that Metoer is fine with that. If you look at his CS score, it's still very far ahead. He's going to end up at the top side. So even a potential look at a gank if he sees SofM leave the area.
With the way Flandre is playing right now, though, I don't think it's all that possible. You know, Flandre is so far under that tower, and he's not even down in CS. He's playing the wave pretty well.
Definitely the case there.
Oh, the flash engage coming in from Maestro, flash out from Jinjiao. That's a trade you'll take 10 times out of 10.
Well done right there, and it's going to be very hard for Jinjiao to actually escape SofM later on in the lane. Now we have seen a number of nerfs being targeted at the Cassiopeia. Miasma does less damage. The Q has also been hit a little bit.
Ooh, Metoer. Maybe looking for a lane gank here. Asure just going to be there all alone while Maestro goes to clear out and establish some vision. But Kuro aggressively pathing into the enemy jungle. He already has this control ward. Metoer coming up to follow him.
This is the dynamic we were talking about.
Oh,
misses the EQ.
A little bit wide. There's the updated Q, but Metoer, the follow-up, the flash in from Andy. The cleanse comes out from Kuro as well, and now they're going to chase him down. The whapping coming out from the stars from Kuro. Might be able to get the first blood here. Out of mana, but the auto attack takes it.
So that's the dynamic and the main point of contention we were talking about. Kuro, once he pushes the lane, is he going to get punished or is he going to get free vision right there? And with the strength in the bot lane arriving first, I think it was a back timing difference. They were able to take what initially was a pretty bad fight coming in from their own members. I actually felt like if SofM did manage to hit the majority of his damage, the fight could have turned out to be quite different. But good play on BLG to avoid that and just have their bot lane in the fight a bit earlier.
Now BLG get away with first blood onto their mid laner along with a healthy CS lead. He's going to back now, pick up. Oh, maybe going for the Hextech hose first. Metoer.
I was thinking, what item is that?
Yeah. It's like GLP 800 or something.
Yeah, it's that one. I always used to call it the GPL since I'm from that region, but I've learned my ways.
It's just easier to call it fast Roa.
With the slow.
Fast, slow Roa. Slowa. I don't know. We'll figure out something. I just hate the numbers and letters. It's so official. And so if I'm going to pick up another Scuttle Crab there, and Andy trying to stay into this lane. He's picked up the Fairy Charm. He's got the double Dark Seal along with the Corrupting Potion. And the Biscuits. He is all about the sustain in this lane. And he kind of has to be, because Kuro can push without using any mana.
Lissandra getting a taste of her own medicine. That's what it feels like playing against you.
Now, she has a little bit less mana sustain than her old passive at the very least, but not a whole lot happening on the bottom side of the map. A little bit of a CS lead for Asure and Maestro.
The side lane's actually doing a lot better than I expected. Not a ton of jungle pressure. At least one thing SofM has been able to do is keep pretty good tabs on Metoer throughout the entire early game.
SofM this entire series has been really impressing me with just his movement around the map, and I'll keep harping on it because it keeps being good. He's been able to track junglers, he's been able to track where he needs to be, he's been able to figure out the most effective way to get the leads back for his team.
Here's a 2v2 we've been waiting for. It's the most crucial matchup. Snake do get the drop.
That's a flag and drag, that's a root, that's a cataclysm, and a kill. Goodbye. Kuro shortly going to follow up. 2 kills, 1 for SofM, 1 for Andy, and such a clean kill.
That's the 4th episode of How to Train Your Dragon. If your dragon is Kuro.
Uh-oh. Maestro about
Plays
to grab
go
life
on.
by the horns coming in here. Oh, good play from Kine, but Jinjiao able to take the lantern back to safety.
Oh, well done. That was pretty close. Maestro could have knocked up Jinjiao mid-air during the lantern to kind of stop, to kind of interrupt that. But really good timing on the BLG duo. They managed to avoid that gank. It was a 4-for-2 situation, and it was quite well maneuvered.
Yeah. BLG playing that one incredibly well.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hook lands. Quick cleanse by Asure.
Well played by Jinjiao and Kine. Kino. Let's watch that gank again. Just better understanding of the pathing that the enemy duo is going to take. They were waiting there in the jungle.
Such a dirty 2v2 combo as well. Now, Metoer starting up onto this Ocean Drake, but SofM has an idea. He's got an inkling that it's happening. Control ward in the pit.
He's going to get the steal. Both level 6.
Ah! Metoer picks it up. So they will secure that Ocean Drake, and this is really good too for the mid lane, because Kuro faced up against all the mana sustain of Andy. Yeah, sure, he can clear with the stars, but now he's got the extra sustain on top of it.
Snake once more. They're focusing on Kuro with the Cataclysm as soon as it's on.
Back up. We heard the flash around the back from Maestro. Still has the Hex Flash, so he'll be fine. But SofM getting chased down here. Predator. Oh, man, that's a 3 versus 1. Flag and drag. Gonna be safe.
Snake get away with only losing a flash on Andy. I believe. Oh no, that was actually just a glacial path.
This flash is about to come back up, though. However,
I really do like that move from Snake. It's kind of like a drive-by. You get a couple turret plating, walk out. And the idea is super sound. The idea is just, we need to make sure Kuro has absolutely no chances to roam. This is probably the most jungle proximity that we've seen SofM have with one of his mid laners. This is the big question I had for SofM with Andy playing on the roster is, we really haven't seen SofM play with an aggressive mid laner for a very long time. The previous one was probably Zatai. But Mala and Guoko were both pretty defensive and pretty slow to start out in their own matches. So we saw very, very low jungle proximity between SofM and his mid laner. Now with Andy being a more aggressive and assassin type of mid laner, we are seeing that synergy start to show up.
oh no, Flandre, not again. Come on, man. You
Doesn't
should have
have
learned your
flash.
lesson in game 1. No flash, like you said, and Kuro's coming in on the side as well. Gets the stun. There's one boop. Not going to get the seconds. The kill goes over to Metoer.
And that's just how fast Kuro can collapse onto these lanes. Small mistake by Flandre right there, going out of his lane without the flash.
Now, once again, just getting caught out of position. He needs to learn to stay back. Andy scouting out, puts down the control ward. Just checking on the status of that Rift Herald there, making sure Shelly's still in her pit. Now, top lane matchup was going very well for Flandre, and it's still going pretty well. But ADD starting to get the push on him. SofM going to go for the Rift Herald. 3rd time's the charm, I suppose. Hopefully he'll be able to pick this one up.
Still a very close game between the two. 300 gold is the difference. And I feel like Snake so far, they probably are okay with this type of start. Again, they are looking for the late game team fights. BLG is a team fighting team as well, but they're more centered around the just the middle phases of the game.
It's approaching danger for them very soon then, because Kuro starting to scale up, has his CDR. going to be picking up his Hextech GLP very soon as well. Allows him to chase down. A lot of kite there coming out. And Jinjiao has just been having a pretty much uncontested bottom lane here. Both of these carries scale up, and both of them have been getting their CS. No deaths, but a gank in the mid lane. Andy takes a lot of damage. Metoer just decides to go for a little bit of aggressive vision.
This really isn't a fight SofM can take. And once these two start roaming, you look at BLG's side lanes, both of them have the push. The early Ocean Drake, probably the best Drake they could have gotten in this situation.
Kuro, definitely the far superior roaming champion in addition. He'll get there faster. SofM just has to flag and drag out defensively, but now bot lane's coming up as well. This could be a really big 3-on-3 here. Kine's hook goes wide, however.
The burst damage advantage does go over towards Snake, so if they can catch someone out.
Net goes down, but Flandre is going to be fine. He's got the ultimate, try and wave clear with it. But ADD has his as well, so this is a really dangerous situation.
We're pretty ballsy. Flandre holding on to his flash, I believe, to dodge out on the Fear Beyond Death. It's very close to kill range. I believe that was an auto attack in the Q away. Here we go.
Whoa. There it is.
That's what I was talking about.
Gets the flash away and will have to back now. ADD has pressure in the top lane, and the dragon is spawning in just 15 seconds. Snake starting to look to position towards it as well, but BLG is very aware of this fact as their bot lane is starting to posture upward.
I really like the Jarvan tech against the Cassiopeia. Even with the miasma, you can't stop. Oh, but
Andy getting engaged on, able to get out with the Glacial Path. Now Kine looking for an engage. Once again, SofM caught, has to flag and drag out defensively.
So much damage on that. This was the point that I was talking about. For BLG, if their mid and jungle really start rolling like the way they are doing now, it's so hard to contain that from overspilling into the side lanes at this point. I like what Maestro's been doing. You can see a very early boots of mobility just to keep up and make sure that sometimes at least they're going to have the earlier 3v2 to kind of dissuade BLG from capitalizing that much.
Yeah, if he's ever able to get on to Kuro, that's a free fight for them basically, because that stops the stars, lets them get into the realm of attack, the zone of control that Kuro has. It's a lot of threat for that little space dragon. And I'd like to remind everyone that we will be covering TOP series next versus JDG in its entirety. As soon as this series completes, we'll pop into that one. So just sit tight, enjoy the ride, enjoy this best of 3, game 3. Snake might take their second series win. Come on.
Or BLG could climb ahead and move on to 3-2. Currently sitting in the middle of the pack with the 2-2 scoreline.
A lot on the line for both of these teams here. But Snake still in it. We'll drop the Rift Herald mid. Hook not long enough. They'll be able to secure this, get a little bit of turret plating.
It's pretty important for them just to know where Kuro is, keep him in place. They are not going to be able to take down this tower, however. However, I like what SofM is doing. He's using that time difference to get a drop onto the bot lane. Snake really need burst. They don't have much sustained damage at all.
Uh-oh. Hook not going to land, and the Cataclysm follows in immediately. Andy flashes in, gets the root on a 2v engage from Maestro. So much damage in the AoE. Kine is all but dead. Asure jumps in with the Killer Instinct, able to get the damage. Fear Beyond Death has gone out. Asure still alive in the back line. Jinjiao taken out. Snake has their 80 carry, but no one else but SofM has BLG take the fight and are still chasing down with the Predator onto Asure. He needs to be able to turn this. Oh, but Metoer takes it, and suddenly SofM, the last remaining member, about to get aced. BLG take the fight.
It was such a good start opening from Snake. They had the 4v3 and the collapse from Flandre in the top side, but in the nick of time, Jinjiao is able to close out on the gap and make a 3-man petrifying gaze work for the team fight. Let's just watch how this started. Snake, they need the drop. They don't have the sustained damage to really match up with the BLG at this point in the game. We can see how they go in right there. Maestro with a great W flash into Q to really target out the back line. But Asure kind of finds himself in a really bad position. And Snake do lose most of their damage after the initial burst.
Now Flandre just getting absolutely decimated here in the bottom lane. Once again caught without any defense, no wards to see it coming. Now he is 0-3. ADD of course 106 on the Urgot, only down 4 CS, so there's a great side lane available in ADD. Keep that push, keep that split going, and BLG is having an amazing early game so far. Up almost 3k gold, 2
Once
towers.
again, their only hope is to pin all their gold, throw it at Asure, and hope that he can carry you with a big performance.
A lot of pressure going on him. Cataclysm onto Kuro. That's who you need it to land on. SofM might die for it coming in now. Fear Beyond Death going to land onto Andy as well. The Fear goes down. BLG on the chase with a double kill for ADD.
And BLG are just reading Snake's minds right there. That's a 2-for-1. Another great win for BLG. And you can see how they positioned it. They know that Snake have been trying the same tricks. Just try to burst out one member at a time from BLG. They put Kuro up as a sacrificial lamb.
Look on to Asure. He has to get out of here. Might be able to get the kill onto Kine first. Not going to be able to find it. Asure trying to kite it out. Gets the heal, but the Q from Jinjiao takes him down. And now Maestro threatened under tower. Unbreakable will popped, but...
Well, this is going to be steak dinner.
Yeah. He is absolutely toast. Maybe he could get a kill onto Kine if he takes tower aggro. Nope, miasma. Maestro's just trying to stall as long as he can. God bless him. Not going to be able to find it. And instead, his team will lose second tower of the game. BLG establish a 4k gold lead.
BLG with so many cordial plays right here. The 1v1. I'm not sure Kuro wants to take this.
He really doesn't. I was not expecting that from Flandre, but he's like, come on, man.
Yeah, that was quite surprising. If you look at this kill line, Kuro's sitting at 3-2-7. A 0-3-1 Viktor just said, nope, get out.
One of the strengths of Viktor, of course, ultimate can be used for both wave clear and burst. Flandre's been using it a lot for the wave clear in this top lane matchup, and finally able to get something off of it. Third tower, all 3 outers down now in favor of Snake.
Now we have to go back to game 1, and Snake were down by 7,000 gold. This is still within reach for them. However, they are losing the majority of their map control. That's the biggest issue for me. They got some of it back with Flandre versus the Kuro trade in the bot side. But overall, I feel like BLG has just been reading Snake like a book. In all of these team fights, even though they were going in with the second move, they were going in with the better one. They definitely knew what Snake was trying to do, and Snake at this point in the game, they still lack the damage to take a straight-on 5v5 for BLG.
All they really have is Asure there, not quite at 2 items yet. Lissandra just with the Proto Belt, Viktor just with the upgraded Hextech core. So they don't have really any good item breakpoints, whereas on BLG, you look at it, Redemption's out as well. Rylai's plus the Hextech GLP 800. Luden's another Rylai. So many item power spikes coming out for BLG right now.
I think BLG are going to try and close the deal out on the next Infernal Drake.
Just
don't think Snake can actually contest this one.
It's just coming up in a minute, 15 seconds. The Baron's still available, so if Snake wanted to maybe do something a little bit cheeky, they could try and pressure the Baron instead. They do have the Ginsus now.
BLG's game plan should be fairly straightforward at this point. Just step onto the Infernal Drake, go at Snake to take a 5v5, which they can't win, and then use those double Drakes, just move it to Baron, and take that Baron so quickly with the damage coming out from Cassiopeia.
Oh, there's the engage, but Ragnarok will stop it. Good use by Maestro there. At least the Olaf ult is down, but still they have so much to contend with, and suddenly on the top side of the fight, Andy just gets picked off by ADD, and now third tower down for BLG. They've pushed out all the outers.
BLG making this game look easy. They win on multiple fronts, and now they're just free to pick their objectives that they want to focus on. The Infernal Drakes is wide open. ADD still sitting on his teleport, free to push out this lane. I don't see a response that Snake can give.
And BLG can take objectives so unbelievably quickly with the Cassiopeia DPS plus Aurelion Sol. They can take down this Infernal Drake in no time.
how ADD got that pick. Probably a very good read on Andy's pathing.
He's absolutely massively ahead this game too. 4-0 and 6. Has the Stone Plate and the Black Cleaver. Not a whole lot that can test him, but here's that pick again.
Oh, ADD just waiting in the brush. Good combo timing right there. Fear Beyond Death during the Disdain stun. And he's gonna do it again.
Here comes round 2. There's the E. That time Glacial Path will save Andy. Has to Proto Belt out as well. There goes the ultimate. ADD still wants it. The Q, the voice of light, and there's the fear. But Kuro flashes out of the Cataclysm. He's still going to be alive for now. The Chaos Storm keeping him out of the fight for the time being. But Snake is on the back foot. They're being forced out away from their own tower. The double kill for ADD.
Oh, and I love the smiles coming out from ADD right there. What a rebound game from him. Didn't have the best series for a couple days straight. I was kind of questioning his status at the moment, and then he comes back with a tremendous game 2 and game 3 in this series. Back-to-back plays onto Andy. The mid-game macro we were talking about from Snake, once again eluding them.
There's the teleport. 5 men, 8 for the Baron for BLG. Teleport coming in for Snake as well. Flandre still not on the map. Asure forced the flash. Oh, that teleport did not go well for Andy, and now Snake are getting chased away once again from the Baron.
I love that collapse when they saw the teleport go down, and Kuro with the Rylai's. There's just no escape for anyone close to him.
So much damage coming out from that Aurelion Sol. It has hit mid-game, and this is where BLG's composition shines. Jinjiao has his items, Kuro as well. They put out so much damage together. It's hard to see where Snake can contest, especially when they'll take this Baron so quickly.
This is the Hail Mary, SofM in 2018. Most Barons stolen in the entire split.
Oh.
Can he add it?
Pick on Kine is a good start. Good killer instinct backwards away from ADD. Asure is still alive. SofM has to flash out of the fight, but ADD incredibly low, has to pop the Stone Plate. Finally, he's still up. The ultimate returned onto Kuro will force him out, but Flandre is going to die for it. Might be able to take ADD, not quite.
Good Disdain to dodge the damage, but BLG are forced off the Baron, however. So even though Snake trade 1-for-1, and they do extend their time. Remember, they're still waiting for Asure to come online.
24 minutes and 20 seconds. 3 dragons available already for BLG. 4 if you want to count Kuro and be cheeky. Now, they have ballooned their lead to 6K gold. The Baron is still on the board, and as you said, this is the Hail Mary. BLG are going to keep going for that Baron. The question is how Snake are going to contest it, how they're going to try and stop it. They've done it once before.
The only thing they really need to prevent is just make sure that the Jarvan can't get close to the pit. The Jarvan can still use the EQ flag and drag combo through the miasma. Interesting point that we've seen already demonstrated in this game earlier on.
Jinjiao being given the blue, given a lot of sustain in those team fights. Now SofM. I thought he was going to take it for like a half second, but no, he's going to hand it over to Andy. That's the responsible thing to do.
Come on, Andy is not that tilted. Okay, 3 deaths in a row, I understand, but you still give him the blue. It's his debut. You've got to respect your mid laner. Like FLICKR said, the blue buff is for the mid lane. The junglers are only there to look after it.
Now, Snake looking for a cheeky engage. They will get Kine, force the flash out. Cataclysm down though, and SofM stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's getting engaged on by Meteor. ADD forcing everyone off. Fear Beyond Death comes in, gets the fear onto Maestro. He might be able to get out of this. Unbreakable Will forces ADD into the backline. He has the Gargoyle Stone Blade to keep him alive. Maestro gets taken out. Now, 1-2 members down for Snake. How are they going to contest the Baron?
There's no smite either, so this is a golden opportunity for BLG to really just finish the game. Asure, I think the only tools he has is the killer instinct, but he's not even going near the Baron.
Bizarre choice then by Andy to be there, because now he's going to get punished for it. The kill and the Baron go over to BLG. They can now try and close this one out. They have 3 minutes and 30 seconds of a window.
And this might finally be lights out for Snake. Once again, they drafted a super late game composition, put all of their eggs into the late game team fight basket. But against someone like BLG, who's so dominant in the mid phases of the game, I kind of questioned that game plan. I knew what they were gonna do. I just didn't like what they were going to do.
Now, We've seen exactly why you didn't like it. They're getting punished for their hubris of thinking they can actually make it to the late game, and now Meteor going to pick up the 4th dragon of the game. At this point, if you're Snake, what kind of Hail Mary are you looking for? Because it's not going to be a straightforward win.
There's just not enough damage on the team. That's the #1 issue they have right now.
Red team has slain the dragon.
They've got 2 items on Andy, and they've got 3 on Asure, so they have some damage.
Just not enough damage. That's kind of the point I'm making, but I don't know. I really don't see how they're going to do it. I think SofM has put himself in a good position to potentially find a gank onto Jinjiao, but unfortunately he is spotted out right now.
Now BLG going to be pushing into the bottom and middle lane, splitting the wave as best they can. Decent amount of wave clear coming out from Snake here for the moment. But Asure gets chucked a little bit by ADD.
ADD is so massive in the front lines. 1,000 gold bounty on himself. Good try by Flandre.
Once again, he is threatening Kuro pretty hard, but the ultimate comes out. Fear Beyond Death. Flandre stays alive, but Andy not so lucky. Kuro will take him down. It is now a 4v5. And Snake are going to have to play fancy feet if they want a chance at saving this one.
BLG got some Hook City in them as well. Great play by Kine there.
SofM, I really don't like where he's positioning. We'll get the flag and drag to safety, but Kuro now aggressively moving forward. They have so much control over this, especially now with the Miasma. They're just able to run it straight into the base. The second inhibitor being threatened. There's the first one down. Second one in the middle lane. There's the tower. SofM needs to stay very careful. There's not anything the Snake can do at the moment. Andy will be up in 3 seconds.
They need to find one of the damage dealers. Jinjiao still has flash up, but for Kuro, no summoner, so I think that's the prime target that they need to go for.
There's the engage from SofM. The Cataclysm flashed away from by Jinjiao. They weren't able to get Kuro in time. He's just free hitting from the backline. Not able to find anyone just yet. ADT gets low, but that's the second inhibitor down, and BLG are able to back off without any casualties.
That was a lot closer than I imagined. Even though SofM didn't hit the flag and drag, he did force most of the summoners from Jinjiao and Kuro immediately, and Snake got a lot of free time to hit on the front line of ADD and Meteor. So it looked like a failed engage from the start, but it actually turned out okay because Kuro and Jinjiao went over the wall.
Can they do that again, though? Baron's falling off of BLG now. You were saying before they don't have enough damage. Can they ever get it at this point?
It's going to have to come up from a big follow-up. I think the key ingredient that we're missing so far is Andy has not had a good game. We don't see that engage into the back line, just sniping out Jinjiao or sniping out Kuro. That's what we really want to see from the Lissandra in a late game team fight, and I think that's pretty much Snake's only win condition. They need to level the damage playing field, and they need to take one of those carries out.
He doesn't have the flash remaining anymore. He's not built the Zonias, so at the very least, he's going to need that ultimate to try for a backline play, but it is so difficult with the Cassiopeia Miasma, with the peel coming out from Kuro, ADD, Kine. BLG are in such a great position.
They definitely are. BLG, you know, they really want to join that upper echelon. Is Andy going to get caught
Andy,
up? Oh,
not again. Glacial Path goes down. Fear Beyond Death procced onto him, but not enough damage taken. He finally goes golden, but there's so much damage coming out for him, even through the Aftershock. Frozen Tomb will save him for now, but there's 5 members up here. He gets caught out and killed, and now Snake, their only hope was to take down Jinjiao, to take down a carry, and now their biggest tool for doing that has died.
The miracle win condition we were just talking about has evaporated for Snake. That's the 3rd time that Andy has been caught out alone on the top side of the map and just instantly killed by BLG. I really don't know how Snake are going to stop this push. It has to be a miracle.
2 inhibitors down, the 3rd one about to fall. The push of BLG seems like it goes unrelenting onward forever. They're going to clear out the top wave, clear out the mid wave. Asure desperately trying to farm out the bottom, but BLG's coming in with the aggression. Predators pop by Meteor. Gets it onto SofM, but they're just zoning out. They're playing it careful, playing it slow. They've got 3 waves. No Baron, but they're not going to need it. 1 Nexus tower down. The second one about to fall. Snake need to get a miracle play if they want a chance. All 5 members are up on the field. They're looking for the side. Try to get Kuro. Not able to find him. No headbutt going to find the knockup today. And Asure
to go down.
He is safe from it somehow, but finally taken down by Kuro. And now Snake get wiped out. The double kill for Kuro. The second Nexus tower goes down, and this should be the Nexus as BLG take the series 2-1.
And BLG improved to 3-2, and they finally have a standout game coming from their top laner against Flandre, of all the tops in the LPL. ADD having an absolute massive day today in Game 2 and Game 3. I think he's going to get MVP in both of these, to be honest.
Yeah, that game he definitely played a lot cleaner. You know, his early laning wasn't doing great against Flandre for a while, but this time he was able to wait. He was able to scale up, wait until he could contest the damage coming out, and then he started pushing in. And coupled with the success they found in the mid lane in the skirmishes 2v2, BLG really just ran it through, played to their strengths, and won with their team composition.
This is probably the best form that you can expect BLG to have. Kuro having the counter pick, having the tech to surprise his enemy mid laners, something that he can make macro plays with. In the top lane, ADD just playing rock solid, winning out his lane with standard meta picks. And then you have the bot side of Jinjiao getting a power pick on the Cassiopeia, able to dominate his lane. And BLG, in their BLG fashion, chokehold on the objectives. No dragons being able to be sneaked away by Snake, and they run a clinic in Chongqing.
It was a much cleaner form than we saw in their previous series, and it looks like they're on their way back up. Of course, they, like you said, chokehold. Look at that gold graph from about, say, 15 minutes in. They started ramping up the gold lead, ramping up their advantages, and just shoving it down at Snake.
This is the best form that, like, this is kind of like the dream scenario for BLG. I feel like this is a team where if you don't crack them down in the laning phase, you're not going to get that chance. Every single time that we've seen BLG play, they've been so rock solid in terms of the macro sense. I really like the experience that Kuro is bringing onto the team, the way he's moving around the map and just finding picks after picks after picks. It's just so oppressive to really play against a BLG. So I think in the future, the game plan against them, it has to be early game and just try to dominate the lanes.
Well, that's a mission for their other opponents down the line, but coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to have JDG versus TOP. Stick around. It's going to be an exciting one.